Hi, all. Today is very exciting because we will discuss the process of choosing your issue. And as I've said in other spaces, you will be sticking with this issue for a while. It's time to really dial in and start thinking as I'm talking the whole time about what you think you might like to talk about. So, this is from the prompt of the stakeholder analysis. An issue is when people or groups have different beliefs about how a situation should be handled. So, this is wide, especially kind of in today's fraught culture. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on an issue, but beyond that, they have different stakes. So, what do they have to lose from an issue being handled one way or another way? So, it is an issue when there is dispute. So, again, I'm sure you can think of lots of things that would be considered issues. So, moving forward, so number one, a disputed topic. Number two, multiple parties, multiple stakeholders. And then number three, multiple approaches. So you'll want to consider all major options of the issue at hand. So you'll want to make sure that your research expands to every possible solution. I mean, there may be some kind of bizarre niche solutions that you don't want to cover, but everything that is most popularly disputed, you'll want to determine what approaches are at hand. So we'll get into some examples in a little bit so that I use some more concrete language. But then number four, the reasons the stakeholders are impacted by the topic. So again, what do the stakeholder groups have to lose? So then once you determine your issue, which it may be in your head already, once you determine your issue, you have to ask, is it interesting? I know this sounds simple, but I cannot tell you how many students want to write a paper based on what they think I want to read. Please don't do that. Please pick something that you actually care about, something perhaps that you have a stake in. Those papers tend to be particularly powerful because you have your own perspective and you are very aware of the issue. So interesting to you in the audience. And then in the audience is me, really. So everything is interesting to me. Complex, not answerable with a yes or no. So this is difficult. Ones that are, if they're a moral question, maybe don't pick that when it's super clear. Maybe I don't know. I can't think of a good example of something that wouldn't be complex enough, but maybe I'll think of one in a little bit. Clear. So, your research question, you have plenty of time to answer the question. So, don't give me all the information at first. It needs to just hone down exactly what you are going to be looking for. Again, we'll give some examples in a little bit. Your research question should not be, it's one sentence, so it should not be the super long run-on sentence. I'm discussing this, and how it should be handled. No, you don't want to do that. Also, it's a question. It shouldn't be a statement. This is your thesis, and your thesis is in the form of a question because, as you know, you're not making an argument. So it should be focused. The clear and focused are sort of similar, except that you have to have an answer later. So I know I just kind of contradicted myself that you don't want to have an answer or you don't want to make an argument, but remember you're making an argument later. So you're laying that groundwork, that kind of scaffolding for what the answer may potentially be. So there has to be an answer. Your research question shouldn't be, is there a meaning of life? Because, I mean, you can try to do some stakeholder analysis on that, but at the end of the day, your argument paper is going to be difficult to write because it's really hard to find a conclusion on that. But, I mean, you could try. But there has to be an answer out there somewhere. And then concise, fewest words as possible. That's connected tightly to clear, and then arguable. So it has to be open to debate. You may think that, especially if you're a stakeholder, you may think that it's not open to debate, but has to be, this goes back, there have to be multiple perspectives, but your question should not be a leading question. A lot of times, let's say students write about abortion. So the student, there's nothing wrong with writing about that, but it's difficult. It's a difficult paper to write because it's hard to write in a way that's arguable, especially if you feel a certain way about it. So a lot of times a research question for an abortion paper might be something like, why shouldn't abortion be legal, or something like that. And it's a leading question, so it has to be open. If you want to ask a question about abortion, let's say you ask, how should abortion legislation be handled on a state-to-state basis, something like that, where it's open. And then later you can argue, but you're pointing out that there are multiple perspectives, and you aren't leading the audience to think about, this is what this author thinks. You're analyzing stakeholder perspectives. That's it. So let's do an example. Fossil fuels in the US. So this is the topic. It's disputed, so it's an issue. Some stakeholders are companies, car owners, scientists, government. There's more, but this is just a couple. And then there's multiple approaches. So let's say stop completely using fossil fuels, continue using fossil fuels, or limit fossil fuels. So again, there are more approaches, but you've just proved that there are multiple, so therefore it's an issue. And then the stakes, money, environment, comfort. Again, there's more than that, but those are a few. So let's turn this. Oops, now I messed this up. Okay, there we go. So it's an issue. If you were to put this issue in a sentence, you would say the issue of how the use of fossil fuels should or should not be regulated, limited, or restricted in the United States. So there's your issue. Let's transform it into a research question. How should fossil fuel use be regulated in the United States? See, it's open, it's short, it's got lots of space to analyze a multiplicity of views. Also, my hair is crazy today. I'm really sorry. I should have not done the face lecture. I should have done just the slides. Anyway, so here's another example. The disputed topic, building a Walmart in your small town. So lots of stakeholders, Walmart corporations, town residents, town government. I had a student write, I think it's one of the examples I chose, write about a stadium, climate something stadium being built in Seattle. And that was cool because the student was from Seattle, and so they had a really tight perspective on everyone who has a say in this issue. So think about where you're from. Think about the spaces where you're from and issues that may be happening there. Multiple approaches, again, multiple stakes. So it's clearly an issue. You need to ask all these questions before you choose your issue. Make sure that you've got stuff to work with. So this issue is the issue of how a small town should or should not allow a large corporation like Walmart to build within their town limits and change their local town dynamics. So let's transform it into a research question. Should Walnut Grove, Wisconsin, I'm specific, this is the town I'm talking about, allow Walmart to build within the town limits? So it's just open. Should they? And then you can answer later. But first you would determine the stakeholders, all the stakeholders involved in and out of Walnut Grove, Wisconsin. So that's a specific research question, and it's simple. So I feel like I've said this enough. Just pick something that you care about. Pick something that's possible. Don't pick something giant. Climate change in general, that's too big. So make it about climate change initiatives in your state, or even climate change initiatives that have to do with the meat industry or something like that. You have to narrow your scope. So pick something that's cool and pick something that's doable. That's basically it. So this is from face-to-face class, so you don't need to do this right now, but you'll see on campus that there's a space for you to pick an issue and then write your research question. All you need to do is write your research question, not your issue, because the research question is kind of where we're going next. But I hope this was helpful. Please send me an email, as always, if you have any questions at all. All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye.